Greetings to you from wherever you're joining us. Thanks for staying through with us on the Tuesday edition of the show. It's the first one for the week. We promise to make it worth your while. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, of course, we will be talking about the CAF Confederation Cup on the show tonight. The vacant Super Eagles managerial job. We'll get our thoughts as well. We will also be looking at the title race in the English Premier League. Then, of course, we'll also look at what's happening here with the men and the women, talk about the respective leagues, Nigeria Women's Football League and the Nigeria Premier Football League. That's the main focus on the show tonight. Of course, it's a two-man show. My colleague Austin Okon-Akpan is with me, and of course, we'll be taking this trip together across the money spinning world of sports.
That's right. That's what it is. Body greetings to you. I mean, of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight in London. I'm Austin Okon-Akpan. Still an action-packed world of sports right here in England. Live games going on in the Premier League. Burnley, they seem to be telling an interesting story, Yemi, that if you want to go down, you should go down fighting. That live game against Wolves, it's 1-1. I see Newcastle trying to run away with a slim win over Everton, 72 minutes already played, and it's the Magpies leading by a single goal. It's Nottingham Forest 3, Fulham 1. Shocking result, if you would ask me, but that's what it is. We'll continue to monitor everything going on in the Premier League tomorrow. The Gunners will be back again in action. Can they keep this title chase alive? We'll know tomorrow, Yemi.
Yes, of course, we'll know tomorrow. All right, let me quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio. And of course, gives me pleasure to introduce Shola Rogers. He joins us tonight. Sometimes I'm lost for words how to introduce Shola. He wears a cap that has many feathers. He's a presenter. He writes a lot. He does a lot of these things that we do. Sometimes I wonder maybe he should be on this side. But Shola Rogers, thanks for being here with us on the show.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Where do we start from? The vacant Super Eagles managerial job. A lot of people throwing their hat in the ring. The latest is Michael Nsien, coach of the USA Under-19 team. We're going to listen to him in a bit, but Shola, I want to get your thoughts. Does he appear that we look organized, people throwing their hat in the ring? Administratively now, anybody is free, but does it look like we're doing the right things?
Yeah, it's two things. It's either we're going to head on or we're going to ask people to apply. And we're using the other approach, which is to ask them to apply. And so, yeah, I think we're on point with this one, because if you narrow the field, you don't know what you're going to get. But if you allow everybody come through and you set the standards and, okay, you must have this qualification, you must have this and that, then you start to narrow until we get the very best. The selection process is as important as getting, to qualify for the World Cup and everything. So this is what we need to do and do it right this time. So if they follow through, yes, there's no problem with everybody that is qualified, that wants to be the coach of the Super Eagles.
All right, I'm tempted to throw in something else, but it's all about Michael Nsien on the show tonight, because he's the latest person to throw his hat in the ring. And of course, his resume is just what I've reeled out. Works in the United States with the Under-19 boys. Let's quickly listen to him. I'm very sure Austin has his thoughts as well. I'm more concerned about the administrators, though, because this is April. There are engagements in June. Are we ready? But let's listen to him. We'll come back for more on Sports Tonight.
When we talk about our football in Nigeria, but it hasn't been from a lack of talent. It's not been from a lack of talent. It's been, we can maybe argue or discuss what's missing in our football in Nigeria, but we know we have the raw materials, which are the players. But there's been a lot of underperforming in terms of our country in football. Where do I fit in? Why would that make me a good fit? When I look at the players and the talent, where they come from, I've also worked with some very high-profile players in our own national team with the U.S. as well. I think the players have they come back to the national team with the standard that they've been training and playing at in their own environment, and that needs to be organized in a similar fashion to meet their expectations when they come back. So they're feeling like they can perform freely, and at the same time they're performing at a level at the same or even higher. It should feel like it's a higher level than wherever they're playing from, no matter what club that they're playing for. I have no hesitation or fear about how I understand the game. I've worked with Nigerian players in the U.S. U.S. is an extremely diverse country. Most of my teams have been from some sort of Caribbean or African country or Latino, South American, so on and so forth. So in terms of bringing different people together, I'm very competent in that. And we know Nigeria is diverse within its own self and its own players, whether it's religion, tribes, and all these other things. So it has its own specific challenges that are unique. But of course, as a competent person, I believe that I can help bring that together. Yeah, I would say primarily just from watching AFCON, my general, and I'll get to specific takeaways, is first of all, when we're playing versus another African opponent, Nigeria should be the protagonist. We should be the one that commands the game and the rhythm of the game. I don't believe there's any African country that should be forcing us back and playing from deep positions. The game should be positioned higher up the field for us. I thought it was unacceptable for Nigeria to play with so much out of possession in that last tournament, and what the outcome of that. Nigeria defending for so many long periods of the time, the injuries, the fatigue that took place, it had a bearing on the game later in the tournament. And some players sustained injuries in that last match because they were overused, they were defending for too long of periods. Specifically, I would say Nsien was left isolated for so many moments in the game. His skill set, he's a willing runner and a worker, so you can tell even from deep positions he's willing to make the runs further. But I would rather use his actions higher up the field to press and get the ball back earlier, so you can have the ball and win the ball and you're closer to the goal, not starting from deep positions. Going into the tournament, I think a lot of people were able to look at our team in the attack and say, on paper, this is one of the best in the world. And we didn't use those players effectively on the field at the same time. So how do we play a more attacking brand of football, closer to the goal, to use the strengths of our key players so it would be more exposed to those players?
All right, Michael Nsien there talking about a whole lot of issues, bringing back the memories of the Nations Cup. Shola was nodding at some of the things he had to say. But Austin, I mean, here is somebody who clearly knows what he wants. Here is somebody who seems to be, preparing if the opportunity comes his way.
He spoke from two sides, Yemi. He started by letting us understand the knowledge that he's got as a coach. And then at some point, he started sounding like an analyst, And sometimes it's very easy to sound like an analyst because then you've seen the game and then you now bring your understanding in terms of interpretation, So Coach Nsien did that so well. But I'll wait till he gets into the position because he's the man who wears the shoes that can tell if it fits properly or if it was tight or even wasn't even a size. So I say this all the time. For coaches of Nigerian descent that are abroad, they've gone through the fundamentals. They know what it is to follow processes. They understand structure. I like the vibes he's bringing into the job. I love the enthusiasm that he has shown. I love the knowledge that he has displayed. But you said something, and I totally agree. Administration. I said it clearly when Chris Hughton was taking the Ghana job. I said he won't survive. I said that the administration of football in Ghana will wreck him. When Pizarro was coming into the job in Nigeria, Pizarro came when we were hurting, and so he lowered, what he was expecting from the administrators and focused on what the fans needed. He wanted to win back the loyalty for the team. He wanted to win back the love and support for the team. And so he brought in a vibe that was to resurrect hope. And he did it so well. And then he said he's going to win the AFCON. And then they launched the Let's Do It Again campaign. And then they went all the way to the final. But now, if you're coming to get this Super Eagles job, first thing first, Nigerians expect you to play better than Pizarro, qualify for the World Cup with ease, and then next year, AFCON, just go there and win it. So there's pressure now on the job. But with what Coach Michael Nsien has displayed, it's welcome. It goes to show that the Super Eagles is that international brand and people abroad wants to relate with it. So it makes it competitive. I was having a chat with Coach Jose Pizarro today, and I was trying to, pick his, understanding of what it takes to lead this Super Eagles team. But he's keeping it on the wraps. I'm trying to bring him on the show so he would tell us what it was like, what sort of experience, so that those on the outside, I also read somewhere where he was advising some people, don't go close to the Super Eagles job, So let's find out those things that they know that we don't know. But with Coach Michael, all the best. It's for the motherland. If he is qualified, if the NFF sees him as someone that can lead the team, why not? If he can be leading the under-19 team in the United States of America, where they do things, the right way, where we see them as a model, then he will be coming with some good expertise that will be good for the development of football in Nigeria.
All right, Shola is there with us, and I see you nodding your head. Probably agree with a few things you've heard, but you're going to piggyback to what Austin said. But first, let me ask you: do you think we have time on our hands? You said it looks like we're still going about things the right way, but do we have time on our hands?
Well, we're pressed for time because we have these engagements coming up, like you had pointed out earlier. But regardless of that, I would rather have this approach where everybody that feels qualified
gets a look in.
Look, for the first time, let's allow people come through. There are one or two coaches that I've had discussions with that still didn't throw in their hearts into this ring. Do you get? And they're eminently qualified. At least there's one of them. But he feels like, there's a way things are run in Nigeria, so he's not going to delve into it. Do you get? However, the ones that have shown interest, are they qualified? Who's the best qualified person? What are the things that we're setting for them to pick the very best guy who's not just going to come and coach the Super Eagles, but would have time for the NPFL stars, that would have time to discover new talent? Because people think it's only about elite sports or putting 22 or 28 players together all the time. But the Super Eagles job should trickle down. It should affect the league too. So whoever you bring in should have time to do all of those things and then some.
All right. I guess we'll leave it at that for now. There's also the challenge of discovering the player on the domestic scene, and the next thing is off. Some of those issues, we need to see how we're going to sort it out. All right, let's move on now and talk about Rivers United in the CAF Confederation Cup. Let's start by showing you the results. We'll listen to Stanley Eguma later on. I read some comments attributed to the coach of USM Alger. I'll talk about it later. But just in case you missed it by any chance, let me just quickly go across and reel out the results for you. I'll do that just about now. Rivers United had a slim 1-0 victory over USM Algiers. Future FC lost to Zamalek, and Stade Malien also lost to Dreams FC. Abu Salim played a goalless draw with RS Bekane. It wasn't really good for the home team. So just before you are quick to say, Rivers United should have beaten them more than 1-0, see what happened to the others. And Shola, as I take my seat, and the USM Alger coach said, well, the weather wasn't in our favor, my players were fasting. Said all of that, I'm like, we're told it's supposed to be gracious. But how does that sound? You watched the game, you saw the results, juxtapose that with what the coach said about them wanting to win here, but the weather wasn't in their favor and his players were fasting.
I don't fault anything that he said. It's football. And again, you don't come out of this sounding defeated and all of that. He also gave credit to Rivers United, and he said that, look, it's a side that they respect a lot, and they were expecting a tough game, and they got it. However, we must be honest with ourselves. if the bulk of your team is fasting and they have to play 90 minutes of competitive football, it is not that easy. I don't see it as excuses. Of course, we know that at the end of the day, yeah, it's football. But I hope that this return leg is still during the fasting period.
Maybe.
period. Because I really want Rivers United to pull through. I saw the goal, early in the game, which was a good one. That gave them a bit of confidence and everything. I thought we were going to get another one and another one. But we got one, and it's fine. Because if you look at the home teams, like you also pointed out, none of them won. None of the 4 home teams won except Rivers United. So let that sink in. I don't fault anything that the USM Oja coach said. But, however, Rivers United did play a good game.
All right, and I feel that's good enough. Austin, your thoughts. I felt probably you should have praised Rivers United more, but in any case, were those things he said excuses? Are they enough as excuses?
No, they're not excuses. It's mind games, This team with the fasting mode, they've been beating teams left, right, and center in the Algerian league. Remember how they smashed the team 8-0, I think, in the round of 32. And then now he's coming to tell me about fasting just so the Nigerian team will calm down on Sunday when they get to Algeria and then not do their thing. No. That they were still a decent side. They are fasting and they could concede just 1 goal and hold on to it. So imagine if they are not fasting, So that means they will beat Rivers United blue-black and destroy the team right there in New York. I think it's a fairly good result for Rivers United. My namesake Augustine with the good goal to give Rivers United that slim win. They need to believe. I told Coach Stanley Aguma last week, tell your boys not to put us under pressure, not to raise our BP. But Rivers United, there's just something missing. I think that if this game was played at home, I always say it, Rivers United would have come out with the advantage. But because if you check, they had 30 shots. 30, 7 on targets. 7. And it ended 1-0. USM Alger had just 1 shot on target and 12 shots in total. Rivers United had 30. How else do you want to dominate a game and then be firing blanks? That's a problem. When you're playing this sort of competition, you create a chance, you must take it. You must be resourceful. You must be effective, particularly when you go forward. Because when you go to Algeria on Sunday to play the second leg, first you'll be intimidated by the fans. This team will come out, play their best football, and before you know what's going on, we're asking questions. This team has beaten Eton Setiv in the league. They've beaten Belarus in the league. They've beaten in their last 5 games. They've been winning games. So it's going to be very tough for Rivers United, but they've learned from their last game against Dreams, and I keep saying it. You're as good as your last game. So if you need to go away to stay in the competition, they need to prove it. Let's listen to the manager, Stanley Aguma. He's been reacting after that 1-0 win against USM Alger.
Well, it was a good game. I think the players, we had a very good game from the beginning of the match. We scored within the 10 minutes of the game, and because we had played with a high tension, high intensity to ensure that we pressed them down, which yielded the early goal in the game. One would have expected that the boys would have continued that way because we had a lot of scoring chances early in the game. But unfortunately, we couldn't convert our chances. I think the opponents, they also had a dose of their own time, but we roundly outclassed them in this game because we had a lot of possession, and we also did with them on counters, ensure that we increased the tally. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that until the game finally came to an end. But I think the scoreline did not reflect to the standard of the game as we played. I was impressed with their level of chance creation. They created a lot of chances, but I think it was as a result of anxiety. That anxiety affected them. They they lost their heads when they got to the vital points. We go to that place, we're going to intensify. We're seeing the opponents, we know their strength. If we go there and put up a very good effort, good fight, I think we'll come out with a better result than last year.
Coach Stanley Eguma giving his views as regards that game against USM Alger. Shola Rogers will give us his views, but that's when we come back from this break. Welcome back, Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Just gone by, manager of Rivers United, Coach Stanley Eguma, giving his views. Shola Rogers, I find it so difficult. I talked about the number of shots they produced in that match. They had 7 on target. They scored in the opening 10 minutes of the match. They burst possession, got about 69% of the possession, and yet they could manage only a slim 1-0 win. What can they do to stay in this competition when they play the second leg on Sunday?
It's a tough one because we know how difficult it is to go up north to play. You're playing 11 guys on the field, and the fans are going to come for you. It's crazy.
And there are antics as well,
and all that drama and stuff. So that's why I wish they had gotten more than one. It would have made it harder. And again, I was speaking to a former footballer, and he was saying something about how he wants them, to play like they're at home. Like they shouldn't play like, it's up north, we're going to defend.
We're going to lock up.
Listen to what Coach Nsien talked about, how Nigeria, with the potentials that we had, we started defending from the get, and that would have a bearing on the game. So if they're going to win, they have to play like they don't respect USM Alger. They're not afraid, they're not intimidated in any way. I hope they're already on their way there now, so that they settle in good time, get acclimatized, and get used to the pitch. They won't give them access until 2 days or so to the match, but just be on ground in good time and get used to it, because it's going to be a mad setting. I don't see how it's going to be easy for them, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible, because at the end of the day, regardless of all the drama and antics, it's going to be 11 versus 11.
And it reminds me of when the 2 years Ayimba won back-to-back. There was a game they played in North Africa. They played first leg at home, and they conceded. And I heard the commentator said nothing has changed. You knew you came here, you were going to score. You had to score to win. If you don't score, you're not going to win. So I think Rivers United should have that mentality. Look, we're going to play here, we have to score. So if that's the mindset, even if you concede that goal, once you know that, look, for us to leave here as winners, these guys will definitely score.
Yeah.
So the best way is to outscore them.
Yes.
So you have to be prepared that
one goal from Rivers can change the whole.
You have to be prepared that you might try to lock shop, you will still concede.
You concede.
So you must be ready to go all out and find a way to score. But let me just throw this in quickly before we leave this matter altogether. You look at Rivers United on the table, because we're going to the league next. Even Nigerian clubs, once they get on the continent, they most probably won't get there next year, because they're going to do badly in the league. It's a trend that is worrisome.
It is indeed worrisome, and you just don't understand what it is.
I don't.
Maybe it has to do with debt or a lack of it, because you see that, again, we give them this leeway. As it stands now, they have about 4 matches at hand. So maybe when they play those games,
when they do well,
they will go up.
Currently they're 16th.
You know how tight it is with the Nigerian league. I was looking at the table before we went live, and you're looking at the guys from the 10th position to the 18th position. One game changes everything. From 10th to 18th. Leave 19 and 20. Those ones, it looks like they're already getting ready for the NNL. But that's how difficult it is. And they are in between 10 and 18. They play 4 games, win 2 of them, or win all 4, and you find them in the top 10.
All right, we'll see. I just hope our teams will be able to manage playing on the continent and doing well on the domestic scene. Also, let me yield to you, since we're back talking about the league. Gombe United, Remo Stars gets us talking, and of course, the matches to be played tomorrow.
That's right, Gombe United and Remo Stars got off got us off to match day 28. I mean, can you believe it? Match day 28 already in the Nigeria Premier Football League. And it was goalless. And let me commend Remo Stars. They went away and they were on the offensive. I think they had the most shots on target, but Gombe United, they were just resilient that they will not lose today at the Pantami Stadium. So it stayed goalless at the end. If you take a look at other games that were expected, midweek fixtures gets us talking a lot here. I mean, what are those teams that need to win? Because Shola mentioned, if you take a look at the table, Rangers, they're still on top of the table, 48 points. Lobby, they're second with 47. By virtue of the 1 point they got today, Remo Stars jumps to third on the log, 46 points. Eimba, they are fourth with 45. I'm sure by the time you run through the fixtures, I'll let you go to the screen. When you run through the fixtures, you'll see that those teams that I've mentioned, aside Remo Stars, will be under immense pressure to win tomorrow. Yeah.
All right, so let me just go across. As Austin said, we talked about this one. Austin already said, told us the result was goalless. Of course, commended Remo Stars for how they play. Let's look at the fixture now. Match day 28, midweek fixtures. Matches will be played tomorrow. There you have it. Abia Warriors up against Plateau United. Bayelsa United up against Heartland. Of course, the Naze Millionaires. Enugu Rangers will be up against Sunshine Stars. The Aba Elephants, Eimba, will be up against Kano Pillars. I mean, a lot of interesting matches to see tomorrow. Shooting Stars up against Kwara United. Sporting Lagos will take on Lobby Stars. Mendel Insurance will be up against Niger Tornado. Aqua United will take on Doma United. Interesting matches, of course, in match day 28. All right. I mean, Shola, let me get your thoughts quickly. Which one of these games jump at you? I probably would have picked Canopilas, Eimba. I mean, any day, no matter their current situation.
Just taking a look at this now, Aqua United, Doma United, Aqua free scoring side recently. You see what they did in the month of March. And Sonny Suleiman, what's his name, 5 goals in March alone. So you expect them to continue from where they left off and all of that. So here, if I was going to pick a game, it would be this one, Aqua versus Doma, because I expect to see goals in that game. Sporting Lagos versus Lubi. Sporting is fast becoming very popular in Lagos. A lot of people are rooting for them, and they are at home. It's a weekday. You expect the fans to come out. Bender Insurance versus Niger Tornadoes. Tornadoes lost at home to Rangers.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, they lost at home to Rangers and all of that. So now they're on the road to Bender Insurance. I don't know how it's going to pan out for them. Shooting Kwara, expect a lot of fireworks, So these 4 games that you're talking about, my pick here will be Aqua Doma.
All right. Most last pick is Aqua Doma. I fancy Kano Pillars and Eimba, no matter what's happening with their current situation. I'll fancy that. But I don't know which one jumps at you.
That fixture, Shooting Stars versus Kwara United, should definitely get us talking, because if you look at both teams and where they are on the table, Shooting Stars are in a very prominent position on the league table. If they get to win that game, then they can actually climb and start believing. Definitely Eimba, Kano Pillars all day, every day. That's a Nigeria Premier Football League cracker. If you go way back, traditional teams, and when they're both playing, we see a lot of entertaining football. So, as I said initially about the league table, if you look at it, Eimba, they are fourth on the log now with 46 points. If they get 45 points, if they get to win, that's 48 points. While Kano Pillars, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are sixth on the log with 41 points. If they get to win, they climb to 44. We know what this sort of game can give, and Eimba, they've shown that they can also drop points in Aba. But let's see, Finidi George is back in the mix now. He's been commending Coach Olariwaju for doing a good job. So they might just want to, play this one for the coach and, give Remo Stars, Plateau United and Rangers a big warning that, look, we are the People's Elephants, we're the defending champions, and when we want to win, we're definitely going to win. Enugu Rangers, Sunshine Stars. We haven't talked about Sunshine Stars so much this season, but they're still that decent team when you just forget what's going on. You find out that they go away and they win. And they stun Rangers. Rangers this season, they've shown us that if you want to win in football, you must put your house in order. That's how they started this season, Yemi. They rolled out their 5-year strategic plan. They rolled out branding options. They put money into the team, brought their general manager, Amobi, from Europe with all of the experience. And then they have Coach Fidelis Ilechukwu, who they call the special one with league football in Nigeria. They seem to be doing something. The Flying Antelopes want us to talk about them again. They've gone away this season, I think, twice to pick vital points on the road and also win. If they beat Sunshine Stars on March day 28, then we can start to put them in that narrative that they probably do want to win the league title. So it's pressure on Rangers, pressure on Aimba, Plateau United. Remo Stars took a bit of it today, by going away to pick a point. So let's see if Rangers, Aimba, Plateau United, and even to an extent, Kano Pillars can do something that will get us talking about them again.
All right, let's switch gears now and talk about the ladies tomorrow. They will be in action as well. I'll quickly go across to talk about match day 12 matches for the ladies. Group A and Group B. There's a game on Thursday, but most of the games will be played on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. So let's just take a look at it, and we'll talk about some of this. Of course, in Group A, Dana's ladies up against Adamawa Queens. Niger Rattles up against Royal Queens. Confluence Queens up against Heartland Queens. I mean, the joke in town is that the ladies in Heartland should probably replace the guys. The guys don't seem to be doing so well now, but that's just for laughs anyway. All of that is in Group A. Then in Group B, we have Remo Stars ladies up against FC Robo Queens, Ekiti Queens, up against Edo Queens, Sunshine Queens, up against Rivers Angels, Delta Queens, up against Bayelsa Queens. This one definitely should get us talking. And on Thursday, you have just one game for Thursday, Abia Angels up against Nazarawa Amazons. So these are the matches to be played. Shola, your thoughts on the ladies, or you have any game that you think, if you are in and around any of those venues? I'm thinking probably the game that has Bayelsa, that Delta Queens, Bayelsa Queens should be a game that will get us talking.
Yeah, if you talk about the Women's League, just like borrowing a line from what Austin said about the traditional NPFL teams, in the Women's League too, those two teams that you talked about fall into that category, Bayelsa have a rich history when it comes to women's football in the league, same as Delta Queens. That's the kind of game that you want to watch. If you want to promote the Women's League, that is the game for people to watch.
Definitely. All right, Austin, your thoughts on this one before we come to your hand to talk about the English Premier League?
Yeah, we talked about, the importance of Edo Queens winning their last game. And now they have a very important one. I call this one a character game for Edo Queens. If they can go to Ekiti and then beat Ekiti Queens. I'm thinking in Group B, we're going to see like 2 away wins. 2 teams, pressure on 2 teams, Rivers Angels and Edo Queens. Rivers Angels will be going to Sunshine Queens. Now, Sunshine Queens, another tricky team, but we know how competitive that Group B has been. Bayelsa Queens, Delta Queens, also Bayelsa Queens top of the table. Delta Queens, defending champions, not having the season the way they want it to be. If they beat Bayelsa Queens, somehow, some way they can still make it to the Super 6. So that makes it really competitive. Big task for Bayelsa Queen. Can they do it? But I want to see Edo Queens and Rivers Angels show that they can actually have relevance on that Group B table when they go away to pick points. Then in Group A, we'll be talking about Abia Angels all season. What can they do against the impressive Nasarawa Amazons? So that game will definitely get us talking in Group A, Yemi.
All right, let's move to Austin's end now and talk about games to be played tomorrow. Austin will tell us about the ones currently going on, but games to be played tomorrow in the English Premier League. And you have Arsenal will take on Luton Town, Brentford will take on Brighton, Manchester City will take on Aston Villa. These are matches that will be played on Wednesday in the English Premier League. A lot of matches being played at that time. So interesting days ahead. And Shola, as I take my seat, let's not even go ahead of ourselves. Let's allow Austin tell us what's happening with those matches, because the next conversation we're going to get in will likely may not end it before the show ends. So the game's currently going on, Austin.
Yeah, the game's currently going on. The game between Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. We're playing additional time now. 94th minute is still Bournemouth 1, Crystal Palace 0. Crystal Palace must find a way not to lose any more games, because it's like they might just be, dropping to the relegation zone. Burnley, they've thrown away that lead I talked about at the start of the show. It's now Burnley 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. That game also, additional time were being played. West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur, it's a game of early goals, and it's still 1-1. 63rd minute being played now. I think it was Kotzuma here who got that equalizer for West Ham after Tottenham Hotspur opened scoring in the 5th minute. Games that have been concluded: Newcastle 1, Everton 1. Nottingham Forest held on to that win against Fulham. It ended 3-1 for Taiwo Awoni's team, Yemi.
All right, let's address the elephant in the room. The game everyone talked about is the next thing we're talking about. Shola Rogers, the game divided opinion. And before we came into this studio, you were saying if either of those two teams won, it will have been a title decider. It's been blown open. Some people said it was an anticlimax. Let me was that an anticlimax?
I don't know which game they were watching. It was a beautiful game for me, because I saw the Arsenal, in their finest form. They played City player for player, man for man. They played their game like, okay. And if you look at what happened last season and juxtapose it with this one, you understand how much that Arsenal team has grown. Mm-hmm. And this season, from 6 points, Arsenal took 4 of City. It was a good game for me, though. So I really feel that people who are saying stuff about the results and whatever don't understand football. This shows you that Arsenal are title contenders. If you were in doubt before, this is a team that did a treble, and they couldn't beat Arsenal on their own grounds. They're defending champions and they couldn't beat Arsenal, and you're saying Arsenal didn't do well. Then what else do you want them to do? Yes, they didn't win, but they didn't lose. So I'm excited about it, and that's the momentum that they're taking into
another thing.
The next
I'll
game.
yield to us in a bit. Another thing people have thrown in the conversation, well, Pep Guardiola let a lot of players go. So if you're saying they are treble winners, it's not the same team. So what do you say to that kind of argument? Has been chopping and changing?
No excuses, because he registered the best players that he had, and they're amongst the top 3 in the Premier League. So what else do you want? I don't.
So the argument that the core of the team left.
Okay, but they're in the top 3.
Okay. All right, fair point. I don't know where Austin stands in that argument, but of course I don't want to say much, because a lot of people say, oh, Yemi has probably has a side in the game, but it was a good game, and I still feel it's open, even though Pep Guardiola is saying advantage Liverpool.
But you have a side in the game if I start talking. Yeah, I try not to listen to Pep, before and after a game. And you see these days, he's been trying to play with the media, because they asked him a very funny question about, why do you caution your players when you know the cameras are on you? I think it was a very cheeky response. I'm like, really, Pep? He said, yes, I do it just so you can know that I'm the main guy, so you can know that I'm the superstar. He's hurting. He's hurting because he knows very well that this is a season where you needed to prove a point. When you win the treble, everyone expects you to just get on the pitch and keep winning. So Man is under pressure. This is a season where Arsenal is taking 4 points from Pep Guardiola's team. And look, each time Man City is playing Arsenal, you don't get to hear about the players. You hear the master versus the apprentice. And then the apprentice beat him at Emirates and then took 1 point off him at the Etihad. A game that if Manchester City had won, it would keep the title race really going. I'm not saying it's closed now, but it would have given them that prominence, that relevance that Pep Guardiola's team wants to boast about. So fantastic display by the Gunners. I think they went there with a different mentality, and that's what works for them. You know, they took the game to Manchester City. At some point, I think if they had even, you know, believed some more, they would have stunned Manchester City the way they did at the Emirates Stadium. Look, this season is going to be really competitive. Liverpool, for instance, beating Brighton in the last 3 seasons, Yemi. People don't know. Brighton goes to Anfield and they win. And sometimes they're even leading 2-0, and then Liverpool struggle to play 2-2. But now Liverpool had to stay focused and went on to win that one 2-1. And what a way to end it. They might just be saying to themselves that we can't just give Jurgen Klopp a goodbye trophy. That's enough motivation for Liverpool. But someone said something interesting today on local media here in England. Said for Arsenal to take 4 points off Manchester City, the impressive Manchester City, then they also deserve to win the league title this season.
All right, we'll wait to see. If we continue with this conversation, we'll probably have to be chased out of the studio. But let's talk about this one before we go. Fenerbahce, there have been threats. They're going to move out of the Super League because of what happened with their players when they played against Trabzonspor. But the news, just before we came into the studio, is that they're putting a pause on all of that for now. They would still say, the club chairman said, look, even if we decide to go to the lower league, the thing that happened in the top tier will likely happen
again.
But we will wait to see. We might take that decision some other time.
Something is wrong in Turkey and the Turkish league. Something is wrong, you know, if it's not a club owner that is beating someone up.
Coming with a shotgun.
Yeah, so there's something going wrong in the Turkish league, and they really need to nip it in the bud like yesterday. But again, when you hear that they are trying to punish people who were defending themselves, you start to wonder, like, where's the justice in this whole system? If those guys had gotten injured, we wouldn't be talking about this.
But do you see Fenerbahce going through on that threat?
They're not going to put that threat off. They just also want to be heard. They want to be heard, and they want to be taken serious. You know, I just see it as them coming to the table with something like, okay, if you do this, we'll do that. And you don't want a Turkish league without Fenerbahce.
Surely you don't. I don't know if Austin agrees. As we go, I took them seriously. I was thinking that I will hear tonight that they've put, but only for us to, just when we're coming to the studio to say, well, you know, we're not taking that decision for now, but we'll see in the future.
But it's good they gave it some good consideration, Yemi. It's good that they also showed the Turkish authorities that, look, we have a point. If you cannot defend our players, if you cannot ensure that we are safe when we go away to play games, then we have a right to defend ourselves. And if you think we've done something wrong, because don't forget, the Turkish FA, they are still going to question Bright Osai Samuel and other Fenerbahce players that were involved in that brawl. And they're saying, look, we're saying lives would have been lost here. Fenerbahce is saying, how did these fans get into the pitch? How come they have weapons and they got their way into the stadium? I think they have valid reasons to come out to threaten to pull out of the league. And this is Fenerbahce. If you take off Fenerbahce and maybe Besiktas, what is football in Turkey? It's gone, you know, because they are the team that works. They are the team that brings money into Turkish football. So they have voted for now that they will stay, but they are still looking at it, and they've given some vital reasons. They said that we are independent, have no billionaire owner controlling what we do, so your money directly powers whatever we're doing. They were talking to fans, saying, look, everything we are doing here, we're doing it because if it's not the players today, it would have been the fans tomorrow. So yeah, I totally support everything Fenerbahce did. They voted to stay. It's good for football. We have voted to still go on. We keep talking sports. Yemi was a good one tonight. Thank you so much to you wherever you are in the world doing this with us in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, this is a wrap on the show. But before I go, I want to thank Shola Rogers for his time with us. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time. Hopefully. All right, thank you for allowing us into your homes without knocking. It's a privilege we will never take for granted. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.